What is it like to homeschool a family of 13 sons and one daughter? My mom, Kathy, has said she never thought we'd be a homeschooling family. I'm the oldest in the family, and back when I started kindergarten, the concept of homeschooling was almost completely non-existent. I remember neighborhood kids would come up to me and ask where I went to school, and I'd say, well, we're homeschooled. And they just had a blank look on their face. They had no idea what that meant other than it sounded good that I didn't have to go to school every day. Years back, after our show on TLC, we did a follow-up series called FamTeam. We did 50 episodes actually. And one of the most popular episodes over the years has been one about homeschooling we did. The episode was largely hosted by my mom, and she kind of walks through a day of homeschooling, her strategies, how she stays organized, things like that. At the end of this episode, I actually show up. I forgot that I was even on this one, but I was with my youngest brothers, David and Peter. At the very end of this whole video, I'm going to come back and give you a few thoughts and impressions I've had after many years of homeschooling. I experienced it from the very beginning when it was very, very rare in our country.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Father, please bless us today as we start our first day of school. Help us do really well and focus and learn well. Amen. We're just getting started. It's always exciting to start a new school year. The kids love to see their books come and to see how many books they have. They're more excited if they have more books. Now, of course, as reality hits, that means more work. They usually aren't quite as happy about it. But they've got new tablets, new booklets, new everything, and of course, a new grade. And so they've got a new chart that I've made out for them to let them know how many pages we need to accomplish each day. This one, second grade for David, it's got his Arithmetic 2 book, which is his main book. He needs to get one lesson done on both sides. I try to make it clear for what he needs to understand and what I do. And so if I have to turn my head for a moment and I'm helping someone else, he knows which book comes next and what he needs to get finished in it. And I think for our guys, it works out well for them to see visually what needs to be done and what they have done. So it works out good for us. Seth is within just a couple subjects of graduating from high school. Jacob is a junior, going soon to be a senior, but he's a junior. Nathan's just starting high school, so he's our freshman. Mary Elizabeth here is our 8th grader. Caleb is 6th, Peter's 4th, and David's 2nd. But we're down to only 4 grade schoolers, and that's never happened before. Well, except when our 4 oldest were our little people, and they were just entering. But we had as many as 6 in grade school at a time. And so this is kind of funny to only have 4. Okay, you want them to look like they're leaning over, like they're gonna fall over. You don't want to have it look like an E. You want it down here, okay? So start down here and come, okay? I rarely sit in this room. I'm kind of just going in circles and circles, but I don't usually sit when I'm in here just because someone always has a question or something needed to be explained. Looks interesting.
Well, I don't know. I think it's fun.
You like that one?
Yeah.
Looks like Greek to me.
It's close.
Seth is working on Spanish 1. And so, of course, looking at his book, it doesn't make a lot of sense to someone not familiar with Spanish. But he's doing very well with it. He's actually, aren't you halfway?
I'm more than halfway with this book, but I have 2 books.
Right.
But how do you know if I'm doing well with it?
Well, because I've been seeing the grades coming back.
Oh.
We actually do our high school through a correspondence course, but they need help along the way. But by the time they've gotten into high school, they've gotten to be pretty mature and self-starters, and they know they've got a certain amount they have to get done every week. And as long as they keep up with that, they actually have quite a bit of time to supplement it with other things they're interested in learning. I know with Nathan and quite a few of these guys, they've gotten interested in computer animation, and they're also starting work with the business, helping speed up the core reporting process, some of the word processing of it, whatever they can do. Along with these 3, a lot of the brunt of the yard work and maintenance around the house. They've been very involved with that. And so school is kind of a very necessary part of their day, but they actually end up with quite a bit of other time so that they can get things done here too.
How do you spell cereal?
C-E-R.
Well, please do it one at a time. Okay, that one.
Now E-A-L. Well, the first few years as we did homeschooling, I was nervous and worried, gosh, what if I'm forgetting a whole subject? What if I'm not doing a good job on one of the subjects? Who would know if I'm not doing good? And I had to say I kind of had that fear inside me, scared that I wasn't doing a good enough job. Then at one point we had them tested for the same test that kids take all around the country for how they stack up. And I was terribly pleased to see that the boys were like 3 grades ahead on so many subjects, especially English skills, math skills, language, punctuation, all those things. They just excelled. And I was just really pleased. It's like, hey, this is working. For a year, the business was exceptionally busy, and we were between office managers, and I needed to fill in for a solid year or so. We had the kids in school during that time. And I was so pleased to see how well they adjusted. The socialization was not an issue. They did very well, and they excelled in all their courses. They were straight A students. I almost couldn't believe it. I was just hoping that they'd at least be B and that I hadn't left a big hole in here. It wasn't that difficult teaching them, and we came up with such good results. So now, having so many boys totally grown and high school, college, and finish, it's like, hey, this works. And now it's like no one could talk me out of it. And so I'm real tickled. I think it works well, and I don't want to mess with it. We do all of our homeschooling in the dining room, which of course is right next to the kitchen. It's real handy where I can get a meal going or change the laundry and continue our household stuff at the same time that we're doing school. The kids can actually leave their school books here when it's time to eat. We just use our kitchen table and the school books can sit here. And they've got all these little shelving units here. They're actually pie pantries, have their school books in them. So it can continue to look like a dining room even though they're loaded with school books.
Mom is very, very organized. She also keeps track on different lists, which kid has to do which subject on which days. And she really has a great schedule, and I think it gives the kids that added bit of structure.
Okay, yeah, now that's a sore hand. Okay. If I find any spelled wrong, you have to write them 5 times, buddy. With Caleb, he's working on his spelling and poetry, and their spelling lists each week. One of the things I do to help them learn how to spell them correctly is not just read over them, but to write them. And not only write them, but write them correctly. And we've got a rule that we do is if they spell something wrong, they've got to write it 5 more times. If right now I had you practice a word and made you spell it wrong over and over, even though you knew the right way, maybe months from now, it might take you a second to think, wait, which one was the right way, which one was the wrong way? So if you did spell it wrong, I want you on purpose to spell it 5 more times right until that gets kind of stuck in your head. What word is this?
Contrite.
That's contrite? What's wrong with that word?
Nothing.
How do you spell contrite?
Oh, cotrite.
Now the thing is, that might look right to you, and it did. Look what just happened. I just asked you, how do you spell it? And you're looking at it. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Well, you proved my point. Thank you. So guess what you get to do now? That's one word you write 5 times.
Don't actually write cotrite 5 times.
Yeah, then you have to do it 25 times. Because we had to kind of undo the bad habit and start the good habit, okay? I know with myself, if I write the wrong word over and over, later on I get a little mixed up. Okay, was that the right word or the wrong word? And we just need that reinforcement to see it the correct way. So you just are a little more cautious when you're writing it, and also that you're making sure you're spelling it right. And you're seeing what it looks like, you're feeling what it looks like, you're pronouncing it correctly. And I found it's very effective with kids his age to reinforce these words. And so now we're going to check to see if you got contrite right. Now, are you contrite that you spelt it wrong?
Contrite means.
Okay, don't watch it. Tell me, what does it mean? What does it mean to be contrite?
Feeling deeply
You're
sorry for having said.
You feel sorry for having done it wrong now? Are you contrite?
I guess so. Oh, cotrite.
Contrite, no, you can't be contrite, you'd be contrite. And very good handwriting. In our family, fooling around with the, English is a fun thing. The boys have a part of our website on the blog where they'll take parts of speech and have them randomly picked out by the computer and just stuck together, and they make really funny sentences. A lot of dumb sentences, but every once in a while there's something funny.
Smorgasbord is basically a random sentence generator. All it does is take an adjective, a noun, a verb, and an adverb, and it puts those four parts together to make a sentence.
The boys have always liked to do that. They would play a game that we called Word Pass, but they would, each one of them supply a part of speech for a sentence.
You'd all write an adjective on a piece of paper, then everyone passes it to the right, and without looking, everyone adds a noun and passes it to the right. And then at the end, you read the sentences and see what you came up with.
Every single ant-eating anteater traipsed while falling in the hideous pile of junk.
It's a good practice for the younger guys as they're learning parts of speech to have to think of a part of speech and make sure this is a verb, make sure this is a noun, make sure this is a prepositional phrase, and how to make it funny too, to make it fun for them to do it. What they're teaching you here is a K sound at the end of the word. Sometimes it's a long vowel, bake, sometimes it's a short vowel, back, but it's the K sound, lick or like.
All of the kids have been taught by mom from pre-K to high school, except for about a 2-year span where a few of us went to a regular school. And that was just because our family businesses at that time were kind of in a crunch time, and we needed mom's help and her attention for that. I'm glad I had that experience because I had a taste of both homeschooling and regular schooling. All in all though, I really prefer homeschooling. I just love the flexibility it gives you, and I think it gave me much better results.
With us, with homeschooling, it's a real advantage to have such a flexible schedule. If the weather happens to be exceptionally nice tomorrow, I could tell the guys, hey, let's get our school finished today, maybe do a little extra, we'll be off tomorrow, we'll go wherever it is we're wanting to go. And we could pick the best weather days, we could pick the quietest times maybe when other groups aren't there. So we kind of had the place to ourselves. They want you to copy this quotation very carefully on notebook paper. Use your prettiest handwriting, okay? Then study the sample heading here. Write your name here. Write your date here.
Mom has always had great respect for ordinary schools, and I know she had a great experience when she went to school growing up. And so I think when she decided to homeschool, she wanted to make sure that it's still very structured, that the kids are on a schedule and they're disciplined and that they aren't missing that very needed structure. So she's very organized.
I liked our school that we went to, and I was perfectly happy for the kids to go to school. I had a good experience with it. But Paul's birthday happened to land right where he could either stay back another year or start school. And we were not certain which way to go with it. We didn't know if it was better for a boy to be young in his class or older, which way to go. So we decided just to try kindergarten at home and see how well he did. And if he did well enough, maybe put off the decision a year and just see if we want to start him in school, kindergarten again, our first grade. The next year we figured it wouldn't do any harm, and maybe we'd know more by then. Then he did so well in kindergarten, and he seemed to be enjoying it, and I enjoyed teaching him. And little John, you know, the next one, Mark, Luke, would kind of sit around while I did Paul, and it was so cute. I thought, well, let's try it another year. And then John started kindergarten, Paul did first, and I found I did that much better teaching John because what I'd learned from Paul. And I just was enjoying it so much, and we decided, well, maybe we'll go through primary school, and then, well, maybe through 8th grade. And then each time, the next step didn't seem so difficult. I have to say I didn't go into it planning, hey, I'm going to be a homeschooler. It's just, I've enjoyed it so much, and I like kids anyway. I like to spend time with them. I like the way they think. I like to watch their eyes bright up when suddenly they understand something that looked so complicated before. I like being part of that.
I think one of the biggest advantages of the way Mom does it is that her primary goal isn't so much that we pass, but that we learn. When I was at a regular school, I would study very hard for a test, and I would then do however I did on it. Maybe I get a 90 or something. And that means 10% of it I didn't really understand, I didn't learn. But when Mom would be over me, she would let me see how I missed those, and so I would learn it for the future.
For us, homeschooling works really well, but not everybody would it work with their situation. Maybe both parents have to work, maybe it just wouldn't work for them. But for us, it works really well. And I think it keeps the love of learning alive in your children, and also it gives them the knowledge on how to learn more. If there's something they don't know, they study and learn it. They can look up more. There's so much, a wealth of information on the internet, and of course the local libraries. There's so many ways of learning, and I think that's been a real advantage for the kids, that they have learned that they can continue to learn, and not to kind of say, oh, that's impossible, I could never learn that. That everything is learnable. If someone else learned it, you could learn it too.
Peter's been asking if I could take them out for a bike ride. The 3 little guys were all available and ready, so I'm really glad this worked out. Well, you guys can go ahead and I'll catch up to you. I think I'll turn my lights on here. I don't know if the lights are gonna, uh-oh, Peter just wiped out. I better go check on him. Woo! Ambulance! Are you okay, sir? Do you need medical assistance? Are you sure? Just get a little cut? Okay, doesn't look too bad. Here's your bike. You're doing good. Good thing you have the helmet on. Well, it wouldn't be a good bike ride if you didn't get a little dusty.
The younger guys, I think, are really just blessed to be able to grow up out here on this property, and we're out in the country, plenty of space, plenty of roads to bike ride on. They have the added bonus of having so many older siblings that want to do things with them. You know, I know this summer already, Jude and I put together a big treasure hunt for them. Or like John the other day was out taking David to shoot some bows and arrows in the front yard. But they've got it really good.
Well, it's almost dark. We're just wrapping up. We've gotten in quite a bit of bike riding going up and down this road, and we're getting ready to go inside. Good workout, huh, fellas? Good job. Maybe next time you can drive the 4-wheeler and I can ride your bike. Man, I just look at that old footage of David and Peter when they were so small. I couldn't have done something like that with them except in a homeschooling situation. I think our relationships became so much closer. We bonded so much more just from having all those countless hours spent together. And it just makes me appreciate how close we've always been. We've always been each other's best friends. And I think a lot of that in our situation came from homeschooling. You think about it, we spent so many hours together instead of, being separated 8 or 9 or 10 hours a day. We were together all that time. So we have so many shared experiences. We learn how to get along with people of all ages, which is really what the real world is like. I do think it especially helps if you're part of a big family, because you have a big community built in. I remember talking to a girl years ago, and she lived in one of the southern states. She was homeschooled from early on with her brother in a very rural part of the country. And she said that it was a little difficult not getting to socialize. They were very, very isolated. So I would definitely recommend, especially if you don't have a big family, that you definitely need to make sure you supplement socialization, things like sports teams. And I mean, it's easier than ever now. You just look at how fragmented everything is in our society. You have countless options for media, you have countless activities, different groups. So you can really just like pick and choose, almost like a smorgasbord. You can just do like a buffet and just like pick and choose what you want to do for your family. It just gave so many benefits, and we're just reaping the rewards every day today with our family closeness in hundreds of different ways. Just so many shared inside jokes, memories, closeness, and we're much, much more powerful as a united team than we are as a bunch of talented individuals kind of scattered out. Hey, do you have every Arn family member memorized yet? It'll make it easier if you're going to watch our content. Watch this video next.